Hey, it's Paul Macetta, and in this video I'm going to share how you can use a hypnotic language technique to constantly keep people in agreement with you. Now, before I get started on this video, if you want to download my free ebook, The Hypnotic Language Blueprint, I'll put a link in the description below. What it's going to teach you is my simple 5-step process for influencing and persuading others using hypnotic language. So let's get started. First and foremost, anytime you want to influence and persuade somebody else, you have to constantly keep that person in agreement with you, okay? The minute you say something, no matter how sweet the deal is, no matter how beneficial it may be to them, the minute you say something that somebody else doesn't agree with, no matter how small it is, you instantly begin to bring about resistance within that person, okay? So let's say you and I were going to make a deal to buy this laptop, and I was going to sell it to you, at a great price, and I went over all the benefits with you, and you were really interested in it, but then I just happened to say something about Donald Trump, for example, and you hate Donald Trump, and now I say something about him. Well, you still might buy the computer from me, but now I've just brought about resistance in the interaction that was unnecessary to begin with. So here's the key takeaway before we get into this. The key takeaway is that the more you have people in agreement with you throughout the entire communication cycle, the more likely they are to say yes. So there are many different ways that you can get people to agree with you. What I want to share with you today is something from my program, Advanced Hypnotic Language Bootcamp, which is based on something we call truisms. So the undercurrent of the entire interaction, as I said, between you and someone else is that the other person should always be agreeing with you. So you want to structure your statements to that person in a way where they must say yes or no, but they're always in agreement with you. So for example, you could say, I can see that you're beginning to relax, if this is what you're observing, and then the person would say yes or they would nod, and you could also say, and I don't want you to tell me anything that you're not ready to tell me, and the client would agree, but they're agreeing with your no statement. So the other person's response can either be verbal or nonverbal. They could say yes or they could nod. Truisms are undeniable facts. So what you want to do is begin with observable facts and then move that person towards a more abstract but universal fact. So one concept that I try to explain to people when effectively communicating with someone else is that oftentimes when we start, what you want is to be on the same frequency as somebody else. But a lot of times when the communication process starts, you're on different frequencies. So the object of the game is to bring that person closer and closer to your level and to your frequency. And there's many different techniques and strategies that you can use to do that. This is just one of them. And basically what it entails is taking observable facts and using those undeniable observable facts to get the person to agree with you. Realize this, no matter how small or insignificant an agreement may be, it's gonna work wonders and pack a punch when it comes to actually gaining compliance and getting another person to say yes. So, as I said, gaining agreement from someone increases response potential and makes the process more smooth. So in a hypnotic session type of context, universal truisms, like some of those childhood memories can take you back in your mind, or you'll begin to understand things in a way but you didn't realize you could. Those types of truisms build rapport and they get the client to start thinking internally and put their own filters on what you're saying. Now, it's always good to use a mix of yes and no truisms. Because if you use yes all the time, right away it comes across odd, it comes across weird. So it has to be done subtly to be effective. So a mix of truisms, both yes and no truisms, an even mix is important so that the other person doesn't feel manipulated or fooled or you're not being authentic with them. Now, once you get an agreement, you can see that the subject agrees with you And as the master communicator, the direction is going one way, and these truisms begin to build momentum. Eventually, you're going to guide them to something that's beneficial to them, such as developing more self-esteem, or buying a product that you know can help them. So you take baby steps in giving them suggestions until their unconscious mind begins to accept what you've primed them to accept. So first things first is you got to design your outcome and then begin to stack the truisms. It's always all about the outcome. So what is the desired outcome? Is it to overcome a phobia? Is it to help somebody become more confident? Is it to purchase a product that might be expensive but offers a lot of benefits? You have to design your truisms to lead up the path to the final outcome that you want the other person to achieve, or the action that you want them to take. Once you get agreement, you could see that they agree with you, the direction is going where you want it to, and the truisms then begin to build momentum. Hypnosis or hypnotic language is really a journey of discovery, but it's also a journey to give the other person a specific benefit. If they have to come to learn something or achieve something, you want to be the facilitator in making that happen. The more masterful you get at weaving truisms into your presentations, the more responsive and suggestible your subject or your audience will be. So again, the underlying current is that they should always be in agreement with you, and you can build agreement using the truisms and then add a suggestion. Take them along the path and then make suggestions a little bit at a time. Make sure you have agreement before you throw in suggestions that you want them to accept. Also, the other person is not going to accept suggestions that are wildly divergent from their starting point. So you have to move them subtly to get them from where they are to where you want them to be, but you can use truisms to get them there. Now, if you enjoyed this video, again, I took this from my masterclass, Advanced Hypnotic Language Bootcamp. I'll put a link below in the description if you want to learn more about that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, make sure you subscribe.